Hello and welcome to Upcycled Makers Club with the Warren County Library System. My name is Sandy Roberts and I am the Makerspace Coordinator for the Warren County Library. Each week I bring you a fun project using materials that you can find around the house so that you can make and create and discover something new. So please make sure that you put that on your calendar and join us every Monday at 3 p.m. We have a lot of fun projects planned for this month. Today, we are going to be celebrating the Day of the Dead, Día De Los Muertos, which is a Hispanic, I'm sorry, my throat's a little dry this week, which is a Hispanic Central American tradition. Now, it's often thought of as like Mexican Halloween, but it is not, okay? Halloween comes from Celtic traditions in Europe, in the UK, that were then Christianized into Halloween and All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day. So it comes from a different tradition. This comes from Aztec and Mayan traditions in Central America, and where Halloween is generally a way to try to ward off evil spirits to protect yourself, Day of the Dead is about celebrating those ancestors of ours that have passed. So they kind of have very different connotations. Day of the Dead is widely celebrated in Mexico and Central America, and even in South America. And as more Latino and Hispanic immigrants have come to America, we've seen Day of the Dead celebrations grow here as well. Day of the Dead really focuses on family. Often there are lots of big family meals, and altars are laid out to remember those that have passed. So it's a really beautiful time to think back to all those that you've loved that maybe aren't here anymore, because the idea is that the veil between our world and their world is very thin, and we can communicate with them and share with them. So altars and cemeteries will be decorated with vibrant colors and beautiful marigolds and symbols that we'll talk about. And one of those symbols is the Calavera, which is the skull. And this is not meant to be scary, okay? It's simply a representation of death in that kind of, hey, we are connecting with those that have died and sharing with them. And often food will be left and drink and sugar skulls. And these are tiny little skulls made out of sugar and meringue powder and decorated really beautifully with all kinds of colorful things. And they aren't really meant to be eaten. They're supposed to celebrate the sweetness of life. And you put them on your altar, you put them at a tombstone or a grave or a cemetery as a tribute to a loved one. So since today is November 2nd, and Day of the Dead is generally celebrated November 1st into the 2nd, I thought it would be fun to do a activity based on that. And then at 4 o'clock, I actually have a small group coming for a more focused Day of the Dead discussion, and maybe I'll record some of that and share it out as well. Today's project is this. It's a little card, and when you press on it, you could see the eyes light up. So we're going to do a Calavera, okay, a Day of the Dead skull that lights up, and learn a little bit about electricity while we do it. So this is a really fun project. Paper circuits are in general really fun. Now, often when you see paper circuit projects, you will find that you need 1/4-inch copper tape with a conductive adhesive and LEDs and coin batteries and things like that. And you can order all of those things online. I personally like to get my items like that from Maker Shed because they sell kits, so it's really easy. You could just get a paper circuit kit and you've got everything you need. But you can hack this, absolutely can hack this and make your own, and that's what we're going to do today. I am following along on my phone, so if you have any questions as we do this, please feel free to ask. Let's go over what we need in the way of supplies today. First and foremost, you're going to need your template. I've put the link in the description for this video. This is a free template provided by makerspace.com, and they have a lot of paper circuit templates, so if you enjoy this process, you can go there and find all kinds of other things to create. But you're going to print this out. If you have a printer that can do double-sided, you're going to go ahead and print it double-sided, because this has the template for where we're going to lay down our conductive material. If you don't have a double-sided printer, print 2 pages and just use a glue stick to stick the 2 pages together. Easy enough. This will actually fold into the half-sized card. So that's the first thing you need. You can also, of course, you'll notice I left mine plain, but if you get out some markers or colored pencils, you can make this really beautiful. Color is all what Day of the Dead is about. So bright oranges to symbolize marigolds and monarch butterflies, pinks and blues, all those very vibrant colors. The whole idea is to bring a little bit of springtime into this time of harvest and this time of fall. So lots of colorful flowers and such. So you might want to take a little time and give that some coloring before you get started. You can color it after you put it together, but it is a little more challenging. But so you need your template printed out and ready to go. You are also going to need 2 of these little electric tea lights. These you can get at the dollar store. You can usually get them 2 for $1. And basically they have a little switch on the back and they switch on and they light up, and they're a safe alternative. You might have them for your jack-o'-lanterns right now and you're like, well, what am I going to do with those? Now you have something to use them for. So it's a good use to upcycle those little pumpkin lanterns that you might have sitting around. So these little tea lights, you need 2 of them. We won't be using all the pieces of both of them, but you do need 2. You are going to need a small screwdriver because on the back of most of them, not all of them, but on most of them, they have a little screw that we need to take out. So the kind of screwdriver you might use for like eyeglasses, I have a little multi-tool that I use for that purposes. You will need a glue stick. Any kind will do. You don't really want to use white glue for this. It's going to get messy. You're going to need some aluminum foil. It doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be fancy, and you don't need a lot of it. This is a great opportunity to take some aluminum foil that maybe isn't very dirty, you know, that maybe just covered a dish or something, and just wipe it down and reuse it instead of throwing it into the garbage. Okay, so this is a great use to upcycle some aluminum foil. And I usually keep mine around. It is, however, at home, and I'm at the office right now. So, aluminum foil. We are going to need a bit of invisible tape. Okay, any brand will do. I suggest a ruler and a pen for this because it will help us cut our aluminum foil. You may want, these are optional items now, an X-Acto knife, a little craft knife will help us cut the eyes, but you can poke the pen right through to do that too. And then other optional items, diagonal cutters, these are wire cutters, and needle nose pliers. These can help us with opening up our tea lights. You don't usually need them though. Some tea lights are a little more finicky than others. So if you have these on hand, great to have on hand. If you don't have them, hit the dollar store and get a couple sets and put them in your junk drawer at home or in a toolkit because they're super useful. They're really good to just have around. So that's all we really need for today. And again, if you have any questions about any of these materials, feel free to leave a comment. And I will be checking those as we go. So I'm going to switch cameras over here so that we can show you how to make your light up card. Alrighty, here we go. Swinging around in my seat. Okay, so here is our card. We are interested right now on working on the inside, and this is the nice thing about these templates that they provide at makerspace.com, you know, is that they have exactly what you need to do on the inside. And I find that that helps, especially when you're new at this, right? But once you get the basic idea, you'll find you're designing your own cards before you even know it. So I'm going to set this aside for the moment because the first thing we need to do is hack our tea lights. And for that, I'm going to grab my glasses so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm going to get my little screwdriver here. And like I said, you want kind of the smallest screwdriver you can get. Though if you have something a bit bigger, it's not really a big deal because we don't care if we strip the screw or damage the screw. We don't need it. So first thing I'm going to do with this one is just see, can I get that battery off? Nope, I have to undo this screw. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in for you. Okay, so you can see there's a little screw here. Just going to go ahead and unscrew that. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So I'm screwing counterclockwise to the left to get that screw out. Now, if you find that you enjoy hacking tea lights like this, you're going to want to look up scrappycircuits.com or just do a Google for Scrappy Circuits. Scrappy Circuits was developed by a couple of great educators from Philly, or the Philly area. And they have all kinds of different ways that you can hack a tea light and make all kinds of different projects. really fun. Great way to learn electronics, great way to build your electronic set. So definitely check that out. There we go. Just use my screwdriver to pry out that battery. I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to need that battery in a little bit. I'm going to put this down for, you know what, I'll finish this one. That way you can see how it works. I need the little light that's in here. So again, I'm just going to take my screwdriver, and usually it pries up really easily like you saw there. Some are a little more challenging. I'm going to set the rest of this aside, and like I said, if you check out that Scrappy Circuit site, it will have things that you can do with all these other pieces. But what I want right now is this part, whoops, sorry, went off camera. This part, this LED. That's what I want. So I'm going to harvest that, and I'm just going to very gently kind of straighten the leads. Okay, I'm going to put that down. I'm going to grab my other one. I'm going to do the same thing again, counterclockwise, lefty-loosey, to get that screw out with my screwdriver. Now you may have ones that are colored, and that's fine. Mine are kind of a basic, I think like yellow color. So whatever you've got works. You know, it all work. Get rid of that. Use my screwdriver, pop out my battery. Oh, where'd it go? Where'd the battery go? Here we go. There's the battery. A moment. And then again, I'm just going to come in here with my screwdriver, make sure I'm on camera, and pop it open. Okay. And these pieces I'm not going to use today, but you can use them for other projects in the future. I like to keep these. You can make switches out of these using Scrappy Circuits, but I just pop these out, and then I use these round bits as wheels for making cars. So they make great wheels because they've already got a hole for an axle right in there. And it's easy to fit something like a chopstick in there and make an axle really, really simply. So these make great wheels for making fake cars and stuff like that. But we don't need them today. I just save them all in a plastic bag whenever I hack Tealights, and then I have them for later use. So again, I'm just kind of straightening my LEDs. So there we go. We have hacked our Tealights, and you can see that is super quick to do. Okay, so we need to talk a little bit about how electronics work, okay, before we go any further. And I'm actually going to zoom in again. I shouldn't have zoomed out so quickly. All right, for any circuit, you need three things. You need a power source, in this case, our coin cell battery. This battery, if you can see on there, I don't know if you can quite read it. Maybe not, my light is a little bright. It says 3 volts. Volts is basically the amount of pressure, the amount of electricity that it's going to be able to provide. And it needs to match what you're powering, which we call the load. In this case, our load is going to be an LED, this little light-emitting diode. This needs 3 volts to be powered and turn on. So a 3-volt battery, a 3-volt LED, great. We've got enough power for our LED. Now, each LED needs 3 volts. So we would not normally be able to power lots of LEDs off of one battery. But we're going to use a special system for our circuit to be able to power both of our eyes with just one battery. The third thing that you always need for a circuit, so you've got your power source, you've got your load, and then you need some kind of conductive material for the electricity to flow through. Usually in our houses, that's copper wire. When we do paper circuits, a lot of people like to use copper tape. Today, we're going to use aluminum foil, which does, in most metals, will allow electricity to flow. They're conductive. You can also build a switch, which is what we're going to do today, which either closes or opens a circuit. A closed circuit is a circle, and the electricity flows all the way through. An open circuit is broken, and the water can't get through. You can think of this a little bit like a hose. If you've ever had a kink in a hose or a cut in a hose and the water's seeping out, you're not going to get the water pressure you need to come out the other end to water your plants. Same thing here. You break the flow of that conductive material, you break the flow of that electricity, your LED isn't going to light up. Now, our LED has a longer lead, you can see, and a shorter lead. Usually, the longer lead is positive and the shorter lead is negative. The energy in a circuit has to flow in the right direction, okay? Because we have little electrons. We conventionally think of the electricity flowing out of our cathode, our positive side, and into our anode, our negative side. Okay, so we've got a positive side of the battery and a negative side, and it's marked by a little plus here, and there's nothing on the other side. But realistically, now we know that there are electrons and it's actually flowing the other way, but we're not going to mess up hundreds of years of how we've been talking about these things. What you need to know is that the positive side of the battery needs to match up to the positive side of our LED so that the electricity flows the proper way through our circuit. So if I slip these over, no, okay. Now this is something that does happen sometimes with tea lights, is that sometimes to make the LED fit into this whole system, they cut one of the leads, okay? So you really have to test it and make sure that you know which leg is actually the positive side, which goes with the positive. And what I'm going to do is grab somewhere. Oh no. It rolled off the desk and now I don't know where it's gone. We'll try one of these. I like to keep a magic marker around for this, a permanent marker. And what I do is I take my marker and I mark the positive side once I've tested it and I know how this is going to work. So my long is not the right one, my short is. I'm just going to take my marker and give that a little color to it so I know which one is positive. And I'm going to put that aside. And I'm going to test the other one. Now, if you were to buy LEDs in the store or online, you wouldn't have to worry about this part. You wouldn't have to test to see where the positive and negative is. But when you're using tea lights, sometimes you do. Just one of those things. Okay, so I've got those colored. I know where my positive is. Great. Put that aside. I'm only going to need one battery. So I'm going to put the other battery aside as well. I'm just going to do a quick cleanup before I move on so I don't go knocking things off my table. All right, great. Didn't need those tools. So I'm going to put these aside and let them sit for now. And I'm going to get my foil. Now, like I said, if you have foil that is gently used, nothing greasy or dirty, but that's, was just used to like go on top of something or, whatever. Maybe it was under your tater tots at lunch. I don't know. You can just give that a quick cleanup, dry it off, and reuse it for this project. And that's a great way to upcycle your foil. And I encourage you to do that. I, however, am working in the office instead of at home. So I'm going to take a small piece off of a fresh roll and just lay it out. Now, I want pieces that are about 1/4 of an inch wide and as long as I can get them. Longer the better. So I'm going to get my ruler and I'm going to get my pen and I'm just going to, luckily I happen to have a mat here that makes it very easy for me to measure that 1/4 inch. Just use my ruler and it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, that's the important thing I want you to understand. Doesn't need to be perfect at all. You can eyeball it. Okay, don't let this part, really drive you crazy. You just want it kind of roughly the right size. Mostly so you're not wasting. Okay, I'm just kind of drawing a couple lines, making sure I'm going to cut 3 or 4 pieces at this length, just so I have it ready to go. You can see, very easy. The pen marks very well. Zoom out for you there. Okay, so I've got like 4 strips. And then I'm going to grab my scissors, which, did I say that you needed scissors? Oh no, where are my scissors? I'm having one of those days. My apologies. Seriously, where are my scissors? Oh goodness. I must have put them sorry. Where did my scissors go? They were on my cart. Okay. I apologize. That's a first. I've never forgotten my scissors. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's a Monday. My apologies. Here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and cut. I probably could have just torn it, honestly. But I'm going to go ahead and just cut my pieces and try and keep them from getting too tangled up. I want to keep them as flat and straight as I can. Okay. Now do take some care here. It's not likely that you'll cut yourself with the aluminum foil, but it can happen. Okay? So just, be careful. Watch what you're doing. Cutting my strips. And I always like to prepare a little more than I think I'm going to need. because I don't want to have to stop in the middle of what I'm doing to get more or to cut more. And normally when you use copper tape, obviously this is all done for you, and it's got adhesive on the back, and you pull away the backing kind of like a sticker and use the tape. Okay, so now I've got my strips of aluminum foil, okay, and that's what they look like. And it doesn't matter which side we put down or up for this activity. It's just going to transmit that electricity. Okay, move that aside. And time for my template. Okay, now the first thing I want to do is kind of position my LEDs because I want my foil, you know, we can do it either way. It really doesn't matter thinking about it. So let's put down our foil first because I think that's going to be a little bit easier if you're new at this. So we're going to take our foil and we're just going to eyeball about how much we need. Take our stick glue. Make sure that we have plenty of extra. We're just going to lay down some glue right over the template where it shows us and stick our foil on. Now when we come to our corner, we don't want to rip that. We want to keep it as much one piece as we can. So we're going to fold up. Zoom in on this for you so you can see what I'm doing. Zoom, 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 zoom. Okay, make some space. You're going to fold up. You see how I made that little corner? And then I'm going to hold my finger here. I'm going to put glue down first. Glue. Hold my finger and fold it down. Kind of like wrapping a present. Just like that. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the next corner. Fold up, put my glue, and put my finger to hold it in place, and down it goes. Look at that, that worked out like perfectly. Now you don't want to get glue on top here of anything because it will actually act as an insulator and block. Oh, I was zoomed in, I'm so sorry. But there you go, now you can see that all nicely laid down. I'm going to do the next piece. So again, I'm going to just put down my glue, grab a piece of foil. But you don't want to get glue on top of your foil because it will act as an insulator instead of a conductor. So I fold up, a little more glue, carefully fold down, like that. I'm going to fold up again. And glue right on into this spot, which is where we're going to put our battery. And we're just going to fold that in there. And then you could just tear it. Ta-da! Okay? So there you go. Now you've got your circuit basically laid out. Yay! Don't lose this little piece. We're going to use that in a moment. So we're going to take our LEDs, bring them on. Now you notice how it has plus and minus. Positive and negative, and I said we have to make sure that everything runs in the right direction, right? So we are going to just gently, very gently pull. This is tough because I have to keep zooming in and out, but gently pull the leads of our LED flat like that, okay? And I'm going to orient it, as you can see, so that the positive that I marked with magic marker, with permanent marker, is going to go on the positive side. And I'm going to just line up the LED with the dots. Okay, kind of get that wiggled down there. Gently, gently, gently. We don't want to break the lead. Sometimes it can break off if we're not careful. And I'm going to do the same thing with the other. Stretch that out, make it flat. Do the same on the other side. Okay, and we're just going to go ahead and lay that down. Okay, now the reason I kept a little bit of this extra foil is I'm going to just use a little extra foil on either side. And the reason I'm doing this is just to help everything stay as conductive as possible. I want a good connection. So I'm laying that down. And this is where my invisible tape is going to come in. This is where this is the part that's much easier if you have the fancy copper tape, because everything just sticks together. But we don't, so we are going to make the best of it. We're going to press that down. We're going to get some tape, and that tape is going to hold everything together. Now, you want to get your fingernail in there, really press that in. So there's a good connection between the LED lead and your circuit. We're going to do the same thing over here. Now remember, as I'm working on this, I mentioned how each LED needs 3 volts, but we've only got a spot for 1 battery. Well, the way that this circuit is set up, it's a parallel circuit, and that means that this kind of ladder shape that we've created means that each of these works as its own circuit. So you can think of it as 2 circuits stuck together. And that means that we can power each of them off of the same battery. If we were to put them so that they were like this, so that the energy came in here, so the electricity came in here, went to one LED, the next LED, and then on, that would be a series circuit, and we would need twice as much voltage. We'd need 2 batteries to make that work. But we don't. So you can see I'm just doing the same thing on the other side. Again, getting in there with my fingernail, making sure there's really good contact, pressing down really well. This is the tricky part. This is where things can go wrong. And one more little piece of foil, one more piece of tape, and whoop. Pressing that down nicely, and tape to hold it all in place. Alrighty, pretty good. We're almost there. Checking on my time. Okay, yeah, we need to finish up. All right, so now I've got my battery, and again, I'm going to trace back. Okay. My battery goes here, my negative lead comes here, so my negative side of my battery, the rough side, needs to be going down there. Now, this is the tricky part. We need to hold this battery on, but we don't want to just stick a piece of tape over it. If we stick a piece of tape over it, it will basically cover the battery, and we won't be able to get it to touch the foil for the switch, because what we want is when this part of the foil touches here, we should get our lights to light up, and it completes the circuit, because the negative part comes here, the positive comes here, and when we bring this positive to the positive side of the battery, that completes our circuit and turns on the light. So if we cover this with all Scotch tape, that's not going to work. You have a couple different ways you can do this. I like to take a little extra piece of foil, okay, put it over the whole thing, and just use a little bit of, you don't want to tuck it under or anything, because if you do that, you could short your circuit, basically connect the positive and negative where you don't want it to. But I'm just using a little bit of our transparent tape to kind of hold down everything in one place. Okay, you just want to make it so that it can't really easily get out of the spot that you put it in. All right. Let's test. Testing. Yep, looks good. The last thing we need to do is we need to poke holes for the skeleton. And this is where you can use your X-Acto knife, your craft knife if you like. You can just come in here, make a little X, okay, and push that in carefully. If you like to use a craft knife, you can do that. You could, if you have a hole puncher that can get in there, you can use a hole puncher. The thing I like to do is mostly just stick a pen right on through the center. I had a pen sitting around anyway because I was using it for other stuff. So you just kind of want to make sure it's, oh dear. Don't do what I just did. I just pushed too hard. Easy enough to fix though. This is what I like about this project. It's very forgiving. Like everything is rolling away on me. There we go. I'll just put a little tape on the inside. You'll never know that I made that mistake. Haha. All right, just fold that back and fold this over so that our LEDs come through the paper, and line that up, make it nice and neat. Get your fold just right. Crease it. Now if you want to, you can kind of give it a bit of tape and close it up. I like to leave it just as it is. And there you go. When you press, your sugar skull should light up. And that's all it takes. So there you go. One paper circuit made with just common materials from around the house. All for Day of the Dead. Okay. All right. Other than forgetting my scissors, that was pretty great. I love making paper circuits, and as you can tell when you go to that website I sent you to in the link, there are all kinds of different circuits for all kinds of different holidays. So once you have the basic premise down, you can go crazy. And if you really enjoy doing something like this, like I said, you can go to you can go online and you can order kits that have more LEDs. You can just order LEDs and batteries off of your favorite distributor like Adafruit, Spark Fun, or go to Amazon. And you can build all kinds of paper circuits and even design your own. You know what would be really fun? Maybe print out a face of someone in your family and put eyes that glow in their face. Wouldn't that be a fun activity? So I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope that you learned a little bit about how electronics work and how electricity works. And I hope that you had fun learning a little bit about the Day of the Dead and that you enjoyed making your first paper circuit or your 20th paper circuit. All right. Please remember to check our event calendar at warrenlib.org. warrenlib.org. We have all kinds of great events there that you can check out, including my Lego challenges and Friday STEAM. We'll be offering Try It engineering design coming up soon too. So that's a new offering, and a new physics quest coming up on Fridays. So definitely take a look for those. We also have story times, music, theater, so many wonderful programs online. And we also have the dates that the different library branches are open, so you can come on in and browse the stacks. All right, my name is Sandy Roberts. I'm the Makerspace Coordinator for the Warren County Library System, and I'm so thankful that you stopped by today for Upcycled Maker Club, and I hope that you will come back next Monday at 3 p.m. for more fun. Take care and have a wonderful week.